Welcome to Campus USA Credit Union's webinar this evening. And tonight we'll be talking about financial tips for teenagers. I'm your host, Lindsay, and
I'm
with me,
Tyrone.
we have our expert, Tyrone. Tyrone, you've been with the credit union for quite some time.
I have.
And you help members, and you are currently at one of our Gainesville locations. What do you love most about helping younger people with financial literacy?
Even from when I was a kid many, many years ago, I was just always about saving money. And my parents did a really great job at teaching me early
Wow.
to put money aside. And I even got my first job when I was 15 at Publix.
Ah,
And
love it.
so I started really, really early, even before that, saving allowance money and,
Good for you.
birthday money. And I've
Yeah.
always been a saver. So thank you to my parents.
Yes. Shout out to Tyrone's parents. That's really awesome. And I think that you probably see the effects of that now as an adult, and especially working in financial services, how it's really helped you maintain those financially smart habits. So that's great. Well, I'm so excited that you're with us tonight to go over all of this stuff. We have a lot to go over,
Oh, yeah.
but really good information. So thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. Tonight, we'll talk about why financial management matters. Why does it matter, Tyrone?
So it matters because it is going to be something that follows you for the rest of your life.
Hmm.
And no matter where you go, no matter how much money you make, it matters how you manage your money.
Right.
And it could either set you up for success or failure. So having the earliest firm foundation is the
Right.
best.
So tonight we are going to go over a lot of different things, but we're going to try to keep it pretty simple and standard. Of course, one of our favorite topics is talking about credit unions versus banks. A lot of people don't know the difference. We'll talk about different account types and transactions. And of course, we'll really get into the meat of the topic here, budgeting, SMART goals, and smart spending. And of course, opening an account. Where to go to see Tyrone so he can open an account for you. All right. So, of course, let's kick it off with talking about the difference between credit unions and banks.
Yes. So credit unions are not for profit. They're owned by their members.
Mm-hmm.
Membership is open to people based on a common bond. So if they live in a certain city or if they all work for a certain company, then they're eligible to be a member at that credit union. Credit unions return profits to its members by offering better rates and higher interest rates on their savings accounts. And it's regulated by the NCUA. So banks, on the other hand, are for profit.
Yes.
So all the profits that they get, it goes directly to the shareholders. Now, anyone can open an account at a bank, and as long as you meet the minimum requirements, you can have an account at a bank. And banks give the profits, like I said, back to the shareholders, and they're regulated by the FDIC.
There are some definite stark differences in just really the structure of credit unions versus banks. That being said, a lot of credit unions, when they started campus, for instance, when we were founded, our charter was only for faculty and staff at the University of Florida. And since then,
Branched out.
we've
Yeah.
branched out literally and in so many ways, but we've really expanded our membership. But we'll go through some of the benefits of each one.
So the benefits of banking at a credit union is you get that personalized member service. There's a lot of community involvement when it comes to the credit union. So just think of it as when I walk into my credit union, do they know my name? Do they know my situation? Do I have a relationship with them?
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing. Me working at a bank and a credit union, because I have a background in banking, there
too.
is a stark difference.
Yes, there really is. The difference, I think, that has really stood out to me in my career, our foundation is where we are people helping people. So it's really, we are about helping people. Whereas if the motivation is different, your motivation is to make money for shareholders,
Hmm.
there's a different approach.
Different
How,
decisions are made.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's the biggest difference for
Yeah.
sure.
And with banks, you get extensive services across different states. So banks, they have their advantages and disadvantages, but credit unions the way to go for sure.
Credit unions have
Yeah.
really kept up the pace. Oh, account types. There's a
Yes.
lot, but what we're just going to talk about these two.
Checking and savings accounts, those are going to be your main accounts and the most basic starting off. So with checking accounts, you get debit card and checks, unlimited transactions. It's easy to make deposits and withdrawals. You also get bill pay, where you can pay your bills online. And it doesn't usually, most checking accounts don't earn interest,
Mm-hmm.
but we do have some that do.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's ideal for your short term, everyday spending.
Right. These are really structured for transactions to be happening, multiple transactions, where the alternative to that, an account where we don't really want you making a lot of withdrawals, of course.
That's going to be your savings account.
Yes.
So that's where you're going to tuck your money aside and say, all right, I'm going to sit this here to save it for a rainy day, to save it for a goal that I might have. These accounts earn interest, and it varies depending on what credit union you're at and what rates are being offered at the time. When you open an account at a credit union, you automatically get a savings account.
Mhm.
So that's your share in the credit union.
That's right.
So with that, it also, I feel like, encourages people to save. So deposits and withdrawals, two super very basic ways that you can use your accounts. So these are examples of ways that you can deposit money into your account. So you can coordinate with your employer to have your money that you make from your job directly deposited into your account. The next option is mobile deposits, to where if you do actually have a physical check through our online banking system, you can take a picture of that check and then deposit that into your account. The third way is using an ATM. So you do get a free debit card whenever you open up your account. And with that debit card, you could go and make cash and check deposits into the ATM. And then the old fashioned way is just showing up to the teller to make the deposit for you.
Yes. And of course, who doesn't love to come in and say
Mhm.
hello and catch up? But these are different ways that fund your accounts.
Mhm.
So, different ways money comes out of your account.
Mhm.
Uh, you can take that.
And these would be withdrawals. So whenever you go to the store to make a purchase, that's going to be with your debit card.
Mhm.
So an app that I'm sure a lot of you all use to send money to your friends. You guys go out to the movies or somewhere and say, "Hey, send me that money."
Mm-hmm.
You would use that app for that.
Yes.
The third way is ATM. Again, going to the ATM, taking cash out that you'll need to go and use to make purchases. And then that old fashioned way of coming in to see us
Of
and
course.
make that withdrawal.
So those are really basic transaction types on our most say basic and standard accounts. So we talked about money coming in and money going out, and let's talk about what that means in your financial management.
Hmm. So income is going to be any money that you receive, whether it's money from your employer, from doing your chores at home, from birthday money, any sort of money that is coming into you. Your expenses is going to be money that you pay out. So whether it be paying for your Spotify or going out to lunch with your friends or on a date night,
Mm-hmm.
if when you're of the age, of course, using that card to pay for those things.
The examples used here aren't necessarily teen friendly, but I think it does paint the picture because I know a lot of teens don't have those fixed expenses. Well,
Some
some
do.
do.
Yeah,
We have
yeah.
some examples of that
Mhm.
later on, but definitely understanding your income and expenses and tracking it.
Mhm.
That is such a key.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So
yeah,
let's talk
yeah.
about that.
So, the most important thing is creating a budget. So, knowing how much money you have coming in and tracking how much money you're spending, and
Mhm.
then setting limits for that.
Right.
And it's super important to start off early thinking about that because and now day and age where it's so easy to just go out and spend
Yeah.
and then you look at your account and you like, forgot that I went and bought that
Right.
days ago and whoa.
But then if you are tracking your expenses
Mhm.
and then you look at that transaction, you say the $5 for a soda and a piece of candy or whatever it was. Do you have that assigned in your budget?
Exactly.
Where do you put that expense?
Mhm.
And are you going to have to move some things around and adjust things? So it can be tricky, but once you get into the habit, it's kind of second nature.
Yep.
And there's so many apps and different ways that you can easily track that stuff. I know
Mhm.
our online banking has some really great tools
Does.
now. So anyway, so leaning into that a little bit, we can talk about budgeting amounts. But before we get into the details, I know that you're a big fan of this rule, the
Yes.
50-30-20.
So this is one of my favorite things that I've used over the years and it's been very successful for me
Mm-hmm.
is the 50-30-20 rule.
Yep.
So with that rule, 50% goes to your needs, your rent, utilities, and groceries. Those are the non-negotiables.
Right. You
Things
have
that
to have food to live.
exactly. And you have a place to live and things of that nature.
Mhm.
Now, 30% of your income goes to your wants.
Mhm.
Now, that could be dining out, that could be entertainment, date nights, things of that nature. Now, 20% goes right into your savings account.
Mhm.
So it's super important. That 20% adds up really, really quickly, especially
Yeah.
if you stick to it.
Absolutely. And I love this too because it does give you a guideline, and it is something that if you can practice that
Mhm.
at an early age, I think it's a little challenging because most teenagers, their needs are met. But
And depending on your situation, you can change the numbers. So if you
right.
could do 50, 20, 30,
Oh, there you go.
put 30% in savings. If
Yeah.
you start early at 30%, that'll give you even more money later on.
Right.
And then just sacrifice now. You know what? I'll do 20% towards my wants for
Yeah.
right now. And then those numbers can switch.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea. No, this is the rule.
Yeah.
No, you can
Yeah.
change it. You can modify. This is just a guideline.
Yeah.
All right. So creating savings goals.
Mhm.
So we talked about that. Those are again guidelines. But it is really important to have goals that you can track.
Mhm.
I love the example we use on the next slide, but let's talk about the SMART part of SMART goals.
Yes. You're smart if you use this.
Yes.
So the S stands for be specific in the goals that you want to attain financially. Your goals should be clear and specific, and so exactly what you're aiming for. The M is for measurable. You need to be able to track it, and using that those budgeting apps,
Mhm.
you can set little sections to say, "Hey, I want to reach this goal by a certain time," and you can earmark that some of your money to go to that. Achievable. Your goals should be realistic. So
Right.
wherever you are in your life at that time, make realistic goals so that way you have a better chance of reaching that
Right.
in a timely manner. Relevant. Make sure your goals matter to you. Make sure that they fit within the plans for your life. And then last but not least is time bound. Set deadlines. So without a timeline, it's easy to push your goals down the road and say, I'll do it next year. And the next thing you're 25.
Right. So let's look at the example.
So here's our smart example. So being specific, I want to buy a pair of Beats headphones that cost $200 and I want to get them by August. The measurable is I need to save a total of $200 and I can track my process each week.
Mhm.
The achievable is save $50 a month for the next 4 months. That's going to get me to that $200 mark by August.
Right.
Relevance, the headphones are important to me because music helped me study. So, what is your reason behind wanting to achieve that goal?
Right.
And then the time is by the end of August.
Yeah. Well, and that helps you gauge. The first smart goal you make isn't going to be perfect,
Yeah.
but you've got to start. You know, you can start practicing and see how you can make those adjustments. And once you start budgeting,
Mhm.
you have a better understanding of what truly is achievable.
Yeah. And it's better to start the earlier, the better. When
Hmm.
you're not making as much money now in your teenage years versus like, hey, when I do start making a lot of money, I already have a solid foundation.
This actually just recently came up with my preteen who specifically asked for these headphones.
Yeah.
I coincidentally immediately knew, okay, how can we attain that?
Yeah.
Um, because we were talking about this,
Mhm.
and it is too young. She doesn't earn income yet, but it really made me realize like this is something that the younger you start, the better.
Absolutely.
But we use that opportunity to really talk about how she can achieve that on her
Mhm.
own. Good luck. She's not going to do it in 4 months, but having those conversations early and delaying the gratification, I think, is important too.
Yeah.
It's a big part.
Yeah.
Delaying gratification.
Absolutely. In this day and age, and where we can get things so fast
Hmm.
and everything is at the tip of your finger, Amazon.
Yeah. We were talking about
Yeah.
that too. Getting back to how do we know if this is achievable? So let's look at I would say a pretty realistic picture of a teenager budget,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
I think $12 an hour.
Mhm.
To be honest, I'm not really sure what a 16-year-old can make
Yeah.
at probably Publix.
Yeah.
Let's just say you work 20 hours a week, $12 an hour. So your gross pay, which that's the amount of money that you make before taxes. Yes, even teenagers have taxes before those taxes come out of your paycheck. So monthly, that would be about $960.
Yeah.
The Social Security, Medicare, federal taxes, all of that comes out.
Yep.
And then you're left with your net pay.
Which is about $838.56. Now, according to that 50/30/20 rule, what are we doing? 20% of that is going directly into our savings
Yeah.
account, non-negotiable.
Yeah.
And then for our SMART goal, we wanted to put that $50 aside. That also goes in our savings account,
Hmm.
leaving us with $620.85.
That is a lot of money for a teenager. I
I
think so too.
Yeah.
I mean, hours a week is also a lot of hours too.
Mhm.
So this is a very busy teenager
Mhm.
that we're looking at here who's able to keep up with school and work 20 hours and make this money. So after the mandatory savings,
Mhm.
I love that we address that first. Just
Yeah.
get that out of the way. Pay yourself first,
Yep.
right?
Exactly.
And then to address our SMART goal, the $50. Now, with the 620, let's look at how that can be broken down into categories.
Mhm. So depending on, your situation, everyone's situation is a little bit different.
Hmm.
These are some examples of what you might have to spend your money on, that 50% of the needs. So gas, car insurance, phone bill, clothing and personal items, events, movies, dining out, food and snacks. I love to eat,
Yeah.
so I spend a lot on food and snacks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then having your spending money throughout the month. So,
That spending money, too, what I like about that is that it's important to be mindful of what you're spending your money on,
mhm,
right? So if you buy soda and a piece of candy, that's going to come out of your in snacks
mhm,
category.
exactly.
So tracking that, and then that makes you a little bit more mindful.
Hmm.
Can't believe I spent $100 on candy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it can happen. I'm sure it
Mhm,
can. So, yeah, through that, this isn't necessarily what a teenager or anyone would spend, but when you're defining your budget, you're
mhm.
saying, this is what I'm allowed to spend on this category. But then you get to the bottom, typically we want it to just balance out. You
Yeah.
want to have a plan for everything.
Mhm.
So $100, what you might say, okay, then that should go in your savings account. But I think starting out, creating a sample budget,
Mm.
I think you learn as you go and
Yeah.
you're going to have
Yeah.
to make adjustments. And then if you find that you have to spend a little bit more on clothing for maybe an event or something, you will have to adjust other budgets there too, right?
Exactly. Yep. Just switching out, changing those numbers as they are needed to be changed.
Hmm.
And some of this stuff might not even apply to you yet.
Right.
So, yeah.
And the $100 too, the spending money, I think that's good for teenagers, young adults. When you start out, just it might be good to have a little bit of a buffer, unassigned funds, so that you can go ahead and put it in savings if you have an overage, but just don't assign it to anything so
Yeah.
that your budget doesn't get out of control.
Yeah.
It is pretty crazy how fast it can be spent
yeah.
though, and this really demonstrates that. Ah, that was a good segue, actually. Yeah, look at how fast we can spend money,
Oh my gosh. It's, we do it in our sleep.
literally.
Spending money wisely is super important. And here's some easy tips to do that. Comparing prices.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many different competitors out there that all sell the same products and
Yes.
same things.
Mm-hmm.
And you have some stores that will price match.
Yeah.
So if you see it at one store and you see it cheaper at another store, they'll price match. So you're saving money by comparing prices.
Yeah.
Impulse buying. I have a rule in my house, which is so funny that it's on there, is that if I want something, I give myself 48 hours actually.
48. Okay.
Say, all right, is this impulsive? Let me just think about this for a minute. If I still want it that bad in 2 days, then I'll purchase it if it's in my budget.
Uh-huh.
But giving yourself some time between seeing something that you want to purchase and just doing a little bit more thinking about it before you actually make that purchase.
Right. Do you have a threshold? Like if an item is over a certain dollar amount, you don't have to share it, but
Yeah,
is
yeah.
there a kind of threshold that you?
I do research about it,
Yeah.
looking at websites, reviews, and things of that nature first, seeing what the prices are and comparing them. And then I say, okay, seems reasonable. And then if it's in my budget, then I'll purchase it.
Mm-hmm.
But then I know I'll have to cut, okay, I can't have pizza this week or next week if I want to spend
Right.
$500 on something that I see that I want to purchase.
Right.
Next is discounts and coupons.
Yes.
Listen,
I love a good
coupon-
deal.
There's so many ways to save money.
I know.
And discounts and coupons are always one of the best ways to save money.
Mm-hmm.
Waiting for sales. For example, Bath and Body Works.
Yes. Wait for the candles to go on sale.
Yes, and the wallflowers.
Yes.
I wait until they're $3 and then I buy like of them. So that
Yes.
gets me through to the next sale.
Uh.
Planning things like that, waiting for those sales to come over.
I hope you budget for that.
I do.
Okay.
The budget that literally there's a line that says Bath and Body Works.
Yes.
Flowers.
There you go. I'm impressed.
And then reviewing subscriptions. Now, this is one that is super important. And I know for me personally,
Yes.
a lot of those things like Paramount Plus or they'll come in and they'll say, oh, 30 days for free. You sign up for a free trial and then next thing you forget.
Yes.
And you don't go on after you've seen that show or have used that product or
Yeah.
next thing you're just taking money out of your account. You don't even know it.
They're counting on that.
Yeah.
They're counting on you to forget it.
Yeah.
And probably giving you 30 days. I know.
Oh, yeah.
I can see this even for teenagers.
Mhm.
I can see it happening because you can get anything on a subscription.
Yep.
You can get music and movies, products. You can get plants as a subscription.
Oh, that's new.
You can.
Oh, wow.
A succulent of the month.
Oh, wow.
If you're into that. So,
Yeah. I know there's a closed subscription as well.
but when these they stack on top of each other.
Yeah. Perfect segue.
I know.
Yeah.
This is what happens. And you give this illustration. This is really helpful. Really puts things in perspective.
Yep. Yep. Things add up so fast. And
Mhm.
you think, oh, it's just $6. But then when you start to combine them and then see what you spend over a year, what can you do with $1,248? There's so many different things that you can do. And just seeing this is super helpful for you to see how things add up.
Mhm.
And it's just like, oh, it's just $2. Yeah, but that $2 turns into 50.
I know. And it is, again, where when we were talking about like foundation, most important part of budgeting is tracking your income and expenses.
Exactly.
So if you're not tracking your expenses, I think this $11, $6, that can just, you barely notice it.
Yeah.
If you're checking your expenses and you're categorizing each
Mhm.
one, you're really, I think, going to be mindful of it. And so go through and add it all up and
Yeah.
then multiply it by 12. You'll be surprised. But for teenagers specifically, talk about it now
Yeah.
because as they get into adulthood,
Hmm.
these opportunities to subscribe to different things, gyms,
Yeah.
car wash, and all of streaming services. Talk about it now. Talking about it early is really going to help them make better decisions into adulthood.
Absolutely.
Speaking of better decisions, and we talked about that instant gratification, and this really plays into us. Tell us why.
It's a trap. That the buy now, pay later gets so many people.
I know.
And the reason that they offer you, hey, you can get these $120 pair of sneakers, just pay 4 payments of $30.
Mhm.
And then what happens? You forget to make a payment.
Yes.
And then that turns into $135.
And then before you know it, those are really expensive shoes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Then it also takes away kind of perception of, hey, you know what? It doesn't cost that much. And then
Mhm.
you go and buy something else, and
Yep.
then it just stacks on top of each other. And next thing you know, thousands of dollars in the hole because,
Right.
oh, it was just 4 payments of $30.
Yeah.
Yep.
It
And
can
they
spiral.
add a lot of interest onto that.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So it's like those monthly payments, just $30, but then in the fine print, it's like it's actually $40 a month with the interest. And then that
Oh.
just turns into even
Oh.
more than the original price that you would have paid for it if you just paid for it in cash.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. It
Mhm.
feeds that impulsive.
Yeah. If you have any hesitation, do I want to buy these sneakers? Oh, it's only $30 today. That decision doesn't
Yeah.
feel so hard.
Yeah.
You don't have to wait 48 hours, right? So it gives you permission. I'll do
Yeah.
it now. But yeah, I think this is important too because teenagers, they have debit cards.
Mm-hmm.
They have the
Yep.
ability to make payments.
Mhm. Yeah.
So they're making purchases online. They
Mhm.
are doing that.
Yeah.
And let's just hope they're doing it responsibly.
Yeah. But
I recently learned that there are some young adults, even college students, that just don't have bank accounts. They don't have a checking account or a savings account.
Mhm.
They probably don't even know how they would go about opening one.
yeah.
But they have an app on their phone.
Mhm.
They can tap to pay. They can
Yep.
send money. They can order pizza with it.
Mhm.
That a lot of stores and apps are making it a lot easier. They accept those payments.
Yeah.
Let's look at why that's not a long-term solution.
Mhm.
That's not going to help you in the long run.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go through that really quick because it blew my mind when I heard that. Where it feels like an account.
Yeah,
but
it's not. And you downside to those money apps are they're not insured.
Mhm.
Very limited features. It's harder to build credit and establish good habits. And there are so many scams and fraud
So
that
many.
happen with those apps.
Yes. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Because also there's little to no recourse if your account gets hacked
Hmm.
and you had money sitting in your Cash App or your Venmo. Once it's gone,
Yeah. Imagine logging into your Cash App or your Venmo one day, your money's gone, and you try and call on the phone and can't reach anyone. That I think that would be the
Yes.
most frustrating part.
Yes.
Versus if you had a checking or savings account at a bank or a credit union, you can go in and
Yeah.
talk to someone and sit down face to face, and you have an entire fraud team
Right.
that works behind the scenes 24 hours a day to help make sure that your money is safe.
Mhm.
Uh,
The best part.
yeah,
Really the best part.
absolutely. You have that support,
Mhm.
have that human interaction, and it helps you to build responsible financial decision making.
Yeah. Habits too, because you're talking about tracking and categorizing your expenses. I can't imagine how easy that would be if I just had it all within an app.
Mhm.
They don't have access to financial tools like can have within your online banking or you can connect to other services.
Yeah.
You're not earning interest on it.
Yeah. So, like, I want to point out that some of
Mhm.
those budget apps
Yeah.
have where they'll be able to see, like, into your online banking and see and help you
Yes.
manage your budgeting.
Right,
And it'll
right.
tell you, hey, you spent $100 on pizza last month.
An app is
Yeah.
a great tool, but it's not a replacement for an
Not re-
actual account.
Exactly.
So let's talk about features at campus and the accounts here that you'll
Mhm.
actually use.
Yeah. Cash deposits with a teller or ATM. Can't do that
No.
with an app. Yeah. Making deposits indirectly into your checking and savings account,
Yeah.
that's huge. You can either do it at an ATM, you can deposit your cash and checks, or just come right on inside and have one of our tellers do it. Mobile deposits. So if we're closed or if it's the weekend and you get $100 check from grandma for your birthday,
Right. Yeah.
you don't want to wait. You can take a picture of that check, deposit that money directly into your account instantly. We also get free debit cards for your account. You also have online banking and mobile banking, and we do use Zelle, which is really full.
Absolutely. And that's, that kind of takes care of that person to person feature that we all love. So, speaking of accounts at campus, let's talk about how we do that
Yeah.
and what kind of accounts are available. But yeah, look at how we do that. What do you need to open an account? I'm a teenager. What do I need?
Yeah. First thing you're going to need is your mom or your dad or your guardian
Yes.
to bring you to one of our service center locations. They'll need to bring your birth certificate as well as your social security card. If you have a state ID, you won't need your birth certificate. But if you don't have that yet, you can also bring your learner's permit.
Yeah.
You won't need to bring your birth certificate, but if you don't have any of those, just bring your birth certificate and your social security card, and that's all you'll need.
And you do get a debit card the day you open your account.
Yes, that is one of the big things that we offer here at campus that a lot of other institutions don't offer you.
Yes.
Is you get options.
Yes, I love these options. Oh, there they are. Of course, I have the Leopard. All of my friends who bank with campus, they have Leopard. I'd say it's the most common. I
Yeah.
think it is our most popular debit card.
Yeah, I have the Gator one because go Gators. And you do have other options, like if you go to FSU. And then we also have our classic blue card.
Yeah.
So just to reiterate, Rising Star checking accounts are available starting at the age of 10 years old.
Yes.
So you'll bring your parent in and you'll be able to get that debit card that same day. You'll also be able to have access to online banking to be able to manage and see the money that comes in and out of your account as well.
As a parent setting up this account for my child, I can go in and I can actually set up alerts based on transaction amounts, balance amounts.
Yeah.
There are a lot of options as far as alerts go. So if anything funny is happening in my daughter's account, I'm going to know quickly if campus doesn't catch it first, which that can happen too. Then the savings accounts, of course, those we have our standard, but then we have some other options.
We have club accounts. So we have two accounts. One's going to be the Christmas club account and then the vacation club account. And those accounts earn a little bit more interest than our regular accounts. And it gives you another bucket to put money in for Christmas shopping.
I love it.
Yeah. The other one is the vacation account. So we also have CDs, certificate of deposits, and those accounts are specifically for money that you're not going to need to touch. It's not a part of my emergency fund.
Yeah. And the kids savings account, of course, this is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
There's no minimum deposit and it does earn a little bit more interest than your standard savings account. And I think that's really motivating for kids too, if they can actually see their compound interest. Parents love that too. You think it's motivating for kids. Plus, there's birthday bonuses. Yes. Every year on your birthday, campus deposit $25 into your savings account.
Yes.
That's for 13 to 17 years old. Now for 12 and under, I think it's $5. But they're every year they just send you a little birthday bonus, like a birthday gift. And they don't do that once you're 18 and up.
Yeah.
You age out of that
You
program.
age out of that. But that's $125. That'd be cool.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
That alone too can have an idea of what you want to spend that $25 on. How's that going to boost your budget?
Yeah. 50, 30, 20 rule.
There you go. All right. So obviously we talked about all the reasons why you would want to have an account with campus, not to mention the local locations. We have really high ratings on Google. And a lot of our locations do have Saturday hours. We have call center hours on Saturdays. But you can go to our website, campusu.com/ATMs locations, and get all of our hours of operation and location addresses from that page. That concludes our very robust webinar. There was a lot of information I know that we went over. We do have some printable resources, though. Along with this webinar being recorded, we will be hosting it on our website and on YouTube so that you can go back and watch it again. We'll have printable resources that your teenager can use, like a budget spreadsheet and a SMART goal planning sheet. I think that's really helpful. I might print that for my kids.
Yeah.
We can talk through that. And so if you're a registered attendee, you'll get an email within the next couple of days and sending you to our website where we'll have those resources available to you. And that's about it. So thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you so much, Tyrone.
Thank you for having me.
So make sure you're following us on social media too.
Instagram, Facebook.
Yes. Well, for your teenager, definitely Instagram. I know they're not on Facebook, but there are some fun ways that you can learn more about banking, personal finance, fraud, and just get to know campus as a brand and who we are. We're just people helping people.